So right when you think Ethan Klein cannot hit a new low, he just keeps digging. He just keeps digging deeper and deeper and deeper in the hole that he has put himself on the internet of just coming off as a fucking weirdo Zionist freak online. So here we have a video from Bad Empanada titled H3 Podcast Threatens to Kill Critics, and we're just going to play it out and see what Bad Empanada is talking about in terms of like what he is accusing the H3 podcast and Ethan Klein of doing.
Podcast has on multiple occasions made explicit death threats against Arab people. They try to do this in a subtle way. It's very funny, by the way, because Ethan Klein is always like, Bad Empanada attacked Ethan Klein in a video game. Something which never happened. She was never mentioned at all. However, the H3 podcast...
Now, in all fairness, I'm not entirely sure about the whole situation there, but he did make a little joke, a pretty dark joke, where he joked about how he was hunting for secretaries, obviously referring to Gila's time in the IDF.
Outright threatens people with death. Constantly. So the way that they do this is there was the Israeli pager terrorist attack in Lebanon, which killed tons of random bystanders. And now whenever on the H3 podcast an Arab person is shown on the screen, they play a pager sound effect to imply that this person should be blown up and killed. Let's show you some examples of this. Here's Frogan on the stream, and Zach Lewis, who is this disgusting Zionist, who is, I don't know what he does, but he's a guy on the H3 podcast. He's a failed musician, and now his job is to just sit there and play sound effects like this to imply that he wants to kill the person on the screen. And it's obvious that this is a death threat. What else could it fucking be? Why else would he be playing a pager sound? Why was there no pager sound effect before that terrorist attack? He's clearly implying that this person needs to be killed. Okay, he is clearly implying that these people should be killed. This is the H3 podcast. This is the H3 podcast that, Ethan Klein has on multiple occasions threatened people with death. He said that Ben Shapiro should be killed in a Holocaust. He said that an NRA meeting should be bombed. Now he's playing sound effects calling for terrorist attacks against his targets. And this is the guy who's like, Bad Empanada attacked my wife in a video game. How could this happen? He's the biggest little crybaby bitch you'll ever see in your life. This is what he does in his show.
Deaf? Does she know? I don't know if she knows what that means. What was tone deaf about it? What was the tone I was deaf to? There it is.
There's the pager sound, and you see Ethan laughing at it. He knows precisely what it means. There's no ignorance here. He's like, I know why we got that new sound effect. I know what it's for.
There it is. That's the tone.
Half of...
And it's just entirely fucking gross. And here's the thing, even with that clip, you could say the whole thing is oh, what tone am I deaf to? And they play a ringtone and shit like that. That's not them saying oh, she should be blown up. You're referring to the pager attack. But no, there's another instance where it is direct. It's very direct that they are talking about pagers.
And Abi Ayad and Lena sit there and they just watch this happening to Lebanese pro-Palestine advocates.
That's also the messed up thing about it. Where it's just AB and Lena are there too. And as Bad Empanada will point out, even AB has said that there were people that he is related to that were affected by the pager attack. And to do this in front of your own fucking employee, especially with some of the stuff that Ethan has, definitely said to AB, the stuff that we can guess might have happened due to the button being called during interactions with AB. To me, there's a part of me that's also why doesn't he just fucking leave? He very clearly should not be working for this guy. Unless he is just trying, he's probably the only H3 cast member that's literally actively trying to be no, I am pro-Palestine though, because with Ethan, Dan, Zach, Gila, it's very clear that they stand on one side. They can claim that they're pro-Palestinian, but it's very clear that they're just fucking Zionist. But with AB, he always does give the presentation of being pro-Palestine. And he even did a fucking charity, which was great. But at the end of the day, it's just like, when you work for this guy repeatedly, who says all this increasingly gross stuff and is like actively making light of a situation that you yourself have even said, personally affected you or personally affected people you were related to, and you're still like, yeah, I'm gonna work for this guy. To me, it's like, like at first I got it. I was like, okay, these people are just doing their jobs, but at some point it's just like, this guy is like being gross. He is being very inconsiderate, and you're just not gonna do anything about it. You're not just gonna like get up and leave. You're not gonna, like, at some point, when are you gonna develop a backbone? Because at some point, the outlookers looking in are gonna feel like you just don't have one when you're not standing up to shit like this. It is not like AB couldn't find work somewhere else, or he couldn't find success outside of this. Like, I feel like out of all the H3 members, I feel like he already kind of has his own, set up, willing to go. He streams on his own, so he could have a good transition, out of that. Maybe not be making as much, but I just don't understand why he feels like he needs to stay there, unless this stuff doesn't bother him. But I'm not sure.
To Denims as well, another person who they think should be killed. Check it out.
You contacted me somewhere else and I didn't see it. I apologize, but like AB said, we got the memo.
Did she?
We know you're raring and ready to go.
Did she page you, Dan? Did you check your?
I didn't. I didn't get anything.
So
on
yeah,
that.
the first one is like, okay, there's context there that maybe, they're not referring to pagers, they're not referring to the attack, but like Zach, being the fucking creepy, disgusting Zionist that he is, he's just like, now I'm gonna be very direct, and I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, they should all be bombed with pagers.
Pager now. Yeah, I still use a beeper.
At this point,
So, that clip is pretty explicit in regards to what that is supposed to be a reference to. It's obviously supposed to be a pager. Why he brought up pagers, because he's bringing up the Israeli terrorist attack to imply that Denim should be killed. Ethan fucking Klein, everyone. The most pathetic little cryabully in the world. He constantly makes death threats. He constantly implies that others should be killed or attacked. He constantly harasses and doxes people. People do like not even a fraction of this to him, and he cries foul. Oh my God, how could this happen to me? The guy who threatens people with death like 2 or 3 times a week on his podcast, as he did in those 2 clips right there. Like, AB is someone who has claimed that he had relatives like who were affected by the pager terrorist attack in Lebanon, and he just sits there as this disgusting failed musician Zach Lewis and Ethan and all of this, the rest of this disgusting crew, like, mock the terrorist attack, mock its victims, and imply that one of their targets should be killed in a similar terrorist attack. They just sit there and they just take it. It's incredible, unbelievable, and disgusting. Totally believable, sadly, given what I know about these people.
Yeah.
What a coincidence that they just happened to start implementing pager sound effects and talking about using pagers.
It's such a coincidence, It's such a coincidence that they're gonna take this to that level, And like, that was months ago, but like, it's not a surprise. I feel like we have gotten to this point where it's very clear that they're just going to be as disgusting as possible. And we have seen that. We've seen like the evolution of that with Ethan talking about the exchange that Israel and Iran have been having over the last couple of days. This is how he started the podcast, in which he decided to talk about Iran and Israel, because I guess he just finds himself an expert on fucking politics now.
boom! Hello. Oh, yeah, maybe the boom was because of the title. I didn't mean it like that.
Oh.
I did not mean it like a war thing. But
It's just such a coincidence.
There is a war happening. Yeah, I know. I don't know where that came from.
Oh my God.
I've never started a...
Just button it already.
Hey, boom, guys, not today. No. See...
Just disgusting. And like, here's the thing too. I don't know, there is a part of me that always is like, trying to find grace in a certain situation, like I explained earlier. Like with the Frogan one, it's like, okay, there's the tone stuff that he mentions earlier, but like then they directly refer to the pagers. And we'll get back to like the Zach soundbite guy later, because this isn't the only disgusting use of his soundboard abilities. But Ethan, even if he didn't intend to say boom in the beginning, it doesn't dissolve him of the disgusting shit that he says afterwards.
I mean, the Israelis said it's a war now, and it's this is going down. This is like a war that's been brewing for a long time.
I see some Israelis in our chat right now. They're in the safe rooms.
I want to say that, you know, whatever you think about Israel, Iran is bad or worse. They are the fucking evil. They are the evil fucking. They're the reason for all this bullshit. Like Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis. They're all attacking under the direction of.
It's just incredibly fucking Islamophobic too. Just being like all these, you know, all these jihadist Muslim groups. They're all under the direction of Iran.
They are all being these jihadists, fucking Islamists, like mega, like
He's just a fucking racist. Like using jihadists and Islamists just openly being like, oh, he's not that far from saying these fucking Muslims. In the same tense, like a fucking racist would be like, oh, these fucking blacks. Shit like that. If you were to hear that out in the open, you would automatically be like, oh, you're fucking racist. But because of like Western propaganda of being like all Muslims are terrorists and shit like that, even fucking like there are even liberals out there who would be like, yeah, they're all fucking terrorists, these jihadists, these Muslims. But it's so fucking gross. And he just gets to get away with being openly racist like this because of Western propaganda.
These ultra, you know, I don't even know how to say it, militant, super religious zealots, right? This is all coming from Iran under their direction, you know? So
yeah, they're the big bad, and we just got to attack them, even though, like, I guess he just doesn't mention at all in this that it's because they wanted to target the nuclear program and shit like that. Like, what he's doing here is just what he's been doing since October 7th, which is just, you know, liberal Zionist propaganda, being like, no, Netanyahu is the bad one, not the way that the state of Israel acts overall. When liberals were in charge of Israel, like, it doesn't matter whether it's Netanyahu or whether it's a liberal. Israel still does war crimes regularly. It doesn't matter. But like, that's how these liberal Zionists like to paint this shit of being like, no, it's just Netanyahu, you know, they're just doing some bad stuff, but at the same time, they do have a right to exist. No state has a right to exist, especially the one like Israel that operates in the apartheid state, the Jewish supremacist state that it lives in. No state has the right to live as an ethno-state. People have a right to exist, not a state. A state never has a right to exist. That's just pure propaganda that, you know, Western media likes to throw out there. They even tried to do it during the New York mayoral debate, which was so fucking gross, of being like, hey, we know we're just trying to figure out who's the best person to run New York, but like, what is your opinion on Israel? What's your best opinion on Israel? Like, what? Why should the New York mayor care like a single fuck? Why should a New York mayor give a single fuck about Israel? Or any foreign nation for that matter. Just be like, why are you asking me this? I'm here to serve the people of New York.
But I've heard that name a lot. Hussein Salame?
Salami.
Does that mean hello or something?
I don't know.
Oh.
My brother's fiance is a Salami.
Oh, they don't speak Arab. They speak Persian. It's like a whole different thing, right?
They don't speak Arab.
Farsi.
Farsi, right? Yeah.
Major General Mohammed Pakpour, swiftly promoted to replace Soleimani as Guards commander, vowed retaliation in the letters of the Supreme Leader. The gates of hell will open to the child-killing regime. So it seems like there's going to be some civilian deaths there, which is, you know, fucked. But I do think people need to remember just how central Iran is to all this shit. Like, they don't
like, yeah, there's gonna be civilian deaths, guys. Ooh, sad. But also, these civilians deserve to die because of Iran. They're just the big scary bad guys. We need to get rid of them for the big old baby Israel.
Get to like fund all these terrorist groups to set their agenda, to push everybody into violence, to hijack the government of Gaza. They're the reason there's no fucking
hijack the government of Gaza? Dude, Israel runs Gaza. Do you think that if they wanted Hamas to be in charge of Gaza, to run the government of Gaza, they would have allowed it? No, they let Hamas do it. They were there because Israel allowed it to happen. And you know how you don't allow that stuff to happen? Don't fucking run an apartheid state. Don't run an ethno state. He's such a disgusting fucking Zionist.
There's no shelters. That all the money sent to Gaza is misappropriated on military operations. That's all from Iran, dude.
Jesus Christ. Fucking disgusting freak.
Supporting Israel. I see a lot of activists supporting Israel who are Iran, or supporting Israel in this conflict against Iran specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Where? Do you think that he saw the protests happening in LA? Every once in a while when he has to drive to a studio from his Bel Air mansion, and he was like, oh, these are protests in support of Israel. Do you think that's what he thought? Or did you think he saw like the No Kings protests or something like that, and he was like, oh, well, these are supportive of Israel, right? Like, where are you seeing these activists, buddy? They don't fucking leave their house. They're fucking piece of shit Zionist freaks like you, who don't actually leave your house, who just like want to stay in your safe little Zionist space because you can't bear to hear people criticize your opinion, your fucking shitty opinion on shit. Like, they aren't out there, bud. You're not seeing them.
And so far, it does seem like the strikes that Israel's done in Iran, from what I can tell, have been very targeted.
Very strategic. It seems they've been playing it for a long time.
So there's not,
Yeah, because they're so bloodthirsty. They're just like desperately waiting to target anyone.
There's not, as far as I've heard, any, or at least not massive civilian casualties in Iran.
I heard of civilian casualties. I mean, nothing obviously compared to Gaza, but it was definitely more targeted.
Where did you hear that? Because I haven't seen that.
Wall Street Journal. Let me see. I believe it was Wall Street Journal. Let me see.
Can you pass that?
We do have an update. Now they are aware that there have been civilian casualties. Obviously, there were fucking civilian casualties. They just lobbed rockets left and right. Like, yeah, there were some that were targeted to, nuclear scientists or whatever. But obviously, there's still going to be civilian fucking casualties. And here's the thing. I even tried to look this up. When I was researching this, I was like, okay, Israel attack Iran, civilian casualties. You can't find that much shit, because guess what? Western media is going to cover that shit up, because Israel is just an arm of the United States, and they're going to run propaganda for Israel. And if it's not going to be a good look on Israel if you mention that fucking 80 people were killed. So, yeah, of course, but, for someone who is staunchly pro-Palestine like Ethan, he should probably know that. But no, he's just such a fucking obvious Zionist who keeps trying to conflate himself with being pro-Palestine, even though fucking there's... You could count on one hand the amount of times that Ethan has been very pro-Palestine, and it usually just refers to him giving money to charity of people that he's friends with, like Hassan and AB. But then he also says doing charity is nothing. He's openly said that, so just fucking gross. But yeah, this is his response after they found out that there were civilian deaths.
And there were 80 or so civilians reportedly who died in Iran.
Yeah.
So I guess no other
I'm
comment?
in bed, strip naked, and jerk off until I cum all over my own chest.
Yeah, so let's play that part again.
I'm to bed, strip naked, and jerk off until I cum all over my own chest.
So that's the part that Zach decides to play after this. First of all, again, just no response after being proven wrong that there weren't any civilian deaths. Just, well, that's tough. Nothing. But then he plays this, and again, I hate doing this for someone as disgusting as Ethan. He doesn't cheer on what Zach did, but he also doesn't confront him about it either, and instead just goes on like nothing happened. Again, not going to the point of, you were proven wrong. There were actually civilians who were killed as a result of this. And he's just like, well, time to move on.
And there were
Time to
like
do
80
this goofs and gaffes while we run propaganda for Israel.
or so civilians reportedly who died in Iran.
Yeah.
I also like the terminology of being like, they died. They weren't killed. They died.
Climb into bed, strip naked, and jerk off until I come all over my own chest.
That's disgusting. Tally, I already thanked Tally, Dan. I said,
New one.
thank you for another.
But yeah, he never goes back to this.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe he talked to Zach afterwards, but at the same time, having your employee do something like that right after you talk about civilians being killed and him playing a soundbite being like, yeah, I'm so fucking happy about that, I'm gonna jerk off, is incredibly gross. But it's not surprising. These people are disgusting. These people are freaks of just purely spewing propaganda left, right, and center for Israel, while also trying to be like, well, we're trying to be like the reasonable pro-Palestinian voices. While what pro-Palestine, like, what have they done to be pro-Palestine other than Ethan giving, minimal, like the minimal amount of money he feels like he needs to give to seem like a supporter? Because this guy's rich, but then you see the money that he gives, and it's just like, come on, man, this is barely like a percentage of what you earn. Cut me a break. Hello everyone, thank you for watching today's video. If you would like to see more videos like this, please leave a like and subscribe down below. If you would like to check out my gaming videos, you can follow me at FruitySaur Gaming. And if you'd like to check out my podcast where I talk about anime, comics, movies, video games, and even pro wrestling, you can follow me at The Fruit Basket. But that's all I had to say for today. I'd like to thank you all for watching once again, and I will see you next time.